Well, hello, Colorado. On October 10th, 2023, I launched an online petition calling on state legislative leadership to initiate the process to expel Representative Tim Hernandez from the State House. In this short video, I'm going to explain why and how it's possible. All of this information can be found at freestatecolorado.com, your resource here for the liberty movement in Colorado. You can go to freestatecolorado.com/Hernandez to find this information and sign the petition. So you may have seen this on the news. It was covered yesterday by Sean Boyd and CBS Colorado. Video of Colorado lawmaker refusing to condemn Hamas atrocities in Israel goes viral. So this has made national news. There's been 3 million plus views on YouTube of this video of Tim Hernandez refusing and kind of being very rude about his fact that he's not willing to condemn this violence against Israeli citizens. So who is Tim Hernandez? Why does this matter? This is from the Colorado General Assembly website. Tim Hernandez is currently serving as a representative for Denver House District 4. Now, what you may not know is that he was never elected. Tim Hernandez has never gone through an election process. He hasn't gone through this contest of democracy where the voters chose to represent him based on his values and the values of the voters in the community. Instead, Tim Hernandez was appointed by a vacancy committee. So the previous representative for House District 4 resigned. The Democrat vacancy committee, since they controlled that seat, got to choose their replacement. So with less than 50 people deciding in this vacancy committee that Tim Hernandez should be the guy, he is now currently representing our Denver community in our state government. Now, what you may not know as well about Tim Hernandez is that he has a history of controversy and pretty extreme beliefs. Part of the reason this petition is so important. What happened with this pro-Palestine rally is not just a 20-second event that is going to alter this guy's career. This has been a history and a pattern of somebody who's been okay with violence, who's calling on very extreme policies that seem pretty frightening if you really look at it. So looking down here, we can see that Tim Hernandez was, congratulated by his group that he's a part of called the Denver Democratic Socialists of America. Now, this Democratic Socialists of America, the DSA for short, has been getting a lot of flack this week. Almost immediately after these horrific attacks in Israel, the DSA started launching protests and rallies across the country in solidarity with the Palestinian people. Now, I understand, of course, a lot of people are suffering over there, but talk about poor taste, talk about sending a message about their beliefs. After Israel was attacked, to launch these kind of protests was pretty sad, and that's what happened here in Denver. So DSA has been doing this nationally. They've been renounced by a lot of legislators, by a lot of representatives across the country. So here we go from August 28th and August 27th, a couple tweets here. So that's when Tim Hernandez was appointed by this vacancy committee. Denver DSA says, huge congratulations to our member, Tim Hernandez, on becoming the next representative for State House District 4. Socialism is the future. Now that tells you a lot about who this guy is, who he's involved with. The raised fist, of course, is a common motif among the socialist and Marxist people, and Tim Hernandez is no exception to that. So Tim Hernandez, you may have heard of him before he got appointed. Part of the reason was he made Fox News a couple of times, actually. He was a Colorado teacher who ended up being fired in Denver, also worked in Aurora. But this was a Fox News headline from May 18th, 2023. So before he was in the state legislature. Colorado teacher calls for forceful cultural revolution targeted at whiteness. This is sacred. Quote, I am absolutely advocating for a cultural revolution, said Aurora Public Schools teacher Tim Hernandez. Now, that's pretty bold language coming from somebody who's a public school teacher in Aurora, somebody who's coming out and saying, I'm advocating for a cultural revolution. I'm pushing these ideas on the children in the classroom, speaking out publicly about these issues, and then, of course, gets rewarded by serving in the state legislature, being appointed. So, he was making some headlines then. After his appointment, Kyle Clark actually had him on his program to promote him. Kyle Clark's this very left-leaning news reporter for 9 News, had Tim Hernandez on there, controversial figures, getting some views for his program, promoting this out-of-control socialist. So here we go. Kyle Clark, August 30th. Colorado's newest state legislator, Democratic Socialist Tim Hernandez, says he's not a Marxist, as he's been described by conservative media. But he doesn't disavow using violence. He doesn't disavow using violence to achieve his forceful cultural revolution against white supremacy. So here's somebody who's now serving in our state government who does not disavow violence, who's been calling for a forceful revolution and shows up at this controversial rally after the attack on the Israeli people. So there's this great video in question. As you can see, I took a screenshot from it, kind of put out the big quote. So this is the guy filming for Hernandez says, and the fact that you can't condemn women and children and elderly people being murdered in the streets. Tim Hernandez's response says, what about it? What about it? What about the fact that he's not willing to condemn these people? Well, it's not too surprising looking at his history. Pretty strange guy. As you can see, here's from the CBS Colorado. They didn't really, I don't know that they recognized him initially, but you can see Tim Hernandez in the background there, kind of lurking around. He actually spits on the ground in the news program, standing out there in one of the bloodiest days in the history of the Israeli people. Of course, he came out with an official statement, kind of backing down a little bit on it. And then, of course, this video, which you need to watch, you can find it here on freestatecolorado.com/Hernandez. Of course, Twitter, all over online. It's got millions of views by now, but definitely check it out. One other thing I want to bring up about Tim Hernandez is that, he's pretty radical, pretty extreme. I mean, here's those screenshots of him at the rally. Here's him in his classroom, with a variety of political flags, political revolutionary flags, trying to indoctrinate the children to support. One of the big things, though, is this quote here, where Tim Hernandez was quoted in this Westward article saying, gun violence prevention, this is from the article, gun violence prevention and climate sustainability are also high on his agenda. We can set an entire community on fire by getting people mobilized and organized. He cites political role models such as House District 6 Representative Elizabeth Epps. Now, Elizabeth Epps was the prime sponsor of the most anti-gun bill Colorado has seen. This quote-unquote assault weapons ban that would have outlawed the most common types of firearms was defeated earlier this year. That was Elizabeth Epps behind it. Now, who is Tim Hernandez's role model? It's Elizabeth Epps, and he's calling for gun violence prevention. So here we have a gentleman, a representative from the government, who's calling on taking people's guns away, who wants to advocate a forceful revolution for shifting the culture and is not willing to disavow violence. Then he shows up at this protest right after the Israeli attack, doesn't back down, but says he will not disavow the violence that occurred that day. So this is enough. This is totally enough. The Colorado legislature has gotten so extreme. We have at least 4 state legislators who are Democratic Socialists of America, this extreme left-wing group. So sign the petition at freestatecolorado.com/Hernandez. I'm going to personally hand deliver these. We'll get it all on video, showing up at the state house. I'm going to take these petitions to the Speaker of the House in Colorado, Julie McCluskey, Speaker Pro Tem Chris DeGray Kennedy, Majority Leader Veronica Duran, and Assistant Majority Leader Jennifer Bacon. These state leaders, these state legislative leaders, this House leadership needs to know that the people of Colorado, there's hundreds, if not thousands of us out here who are not only disappointed, but disgusted with the fact that we have a state legislator who is promoting forceful revolution, will not disavow violence, and is getting more bold. If we don't put a stop to this now, then where's it going to take Colorado? So please sign the petition at freestatecolorado.com/Hernandez. The last part I want to touch on is the fact that it is possible for them to expel Tim Hernandez from the state legislature. All they need is a 2/3 vote. A 2/3 vote from the state house will get him out of there. This actually happened recently. 2018, House Resolution 18-1005 to expel Steve Lebstock. Now, Steve Lebstock was a representative who was accused of harassment, serial harassment from some of the women in the state legislature building, and the state legislature kicked him out. They passed a vote, got him expelled from the state government. And this guy was actually even elected. So there you go. Here's some of the votes from the House. On March 2nd, 2018, 52 votes to 9 no and 4 others to kick this guy out of the state legislature. So it is possible. The state house has the ability to expel one of their representatives. And if there's any reason that's worthy of it, it's somebody who's calling for violence, somebody who's okay with a forceful cultural revolution, who also wants to take our guns away and push this narrative on Colorado. So please check it out at freestatecolorado.com/Hernandez. Take care, and I'll keep you updated, let you know what happens.